All right. Oh, too small. All right. What is up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome. We are a bit behind this morning, but we're ready now. For anyone who's new, see here. Yeah, okay. For anyone who's new, first of all, thanks for checking out the stream. If you don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord, and I usually stream around this time each week, 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. Like I said, we're a few minutes behind, so about 15-20 minutes ago is usually when I get going on Saturdays. Although I will also mention here that I skip Saturday streams if I do fill in on Deep Dive on Fridays. So Deep Dive's a different stream over on the Adafruit channel. When Scott is not around and I fill in, then I probably won't be streaming on Saturdays. So with the exception of Saturdays following that, I am usually here around this time each week, working on some stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more about it at the main website here, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. The way that it will typically work with CircuitPython on these devices, you plug it into your computer, it shows up like a thumb drive, and then you can edit a Python code file on that thumb drive. And when you save it, the device will execute the Python code for you. So it will run the code that's in there, it will interpret it and execute it. And then the code itself can interface with whatever other peripherals that you connect to that microcontroller. Some of them are very general purpose. They just have lots of pins that you can connect whatever you want to. Others of them have built-in hardware, like this one has a bunch of NeoPixels and several sensors and a switch and an IR receiver, and I think emitter as well on that one. So these have like little plug for Hub 75 matrices. So some of them have built-in hardware bits and bobs that are specific to that device, but others are more general. There are 635 of them right now that support CircuitPython. As always, we'll say thanks to Adafruit for making CircuitPython possible. They pay a team of folks, including myself, to work on CircuitPython. They also pay folks to work on lots of other open source software that is not CircuitPython. So if you want to help support any of the work that is done on CircuitPython or any of the other open source software that they fund by paying developers, you can help support it by purchasing hardware from them on their website at adafruit.com. You can get yourself microcontrollers like the ones that we saw before. You can also get all sorts of other little components to connect up to your microcontroller to make interesting projects and stuff with. All right. We are starting today here. And actually, I want to check. I'm on main branch, so I think we're going to probably go to a different branch. Whoops. Oh, I have done the wrong thing. I see. So I'm gonna check out the Zephyr port here. Scott's been doing a lot of work on this. I haven't had a chance to play with it just yet, and he recently added support for the Feather. I really do not like that this window, this camera controls thing is what I've been using for the camera lately. It has no minimize button. This window, which is bothers me. So in order to get it to be behind stuff, you have to like go around and click every other window. Anyway, Scott added support to the Zephyr port for this NRF 52840 Feather Sense. So I will try that out. Okay, it's just going to keep happening, basically. No way around that, is there? It's unfortunate. Okay. Can I shrink this? Get pretty small, I guess. Put it there, and it won't matter too much. And I do think this is still very limited I was looking a little bit at the code that's relevant for this, and I was noticing, like, here it's got a big list of modules, and most of them are off, but a few things that are on that are interesting to me. Actually, I don't know what bitmap filter is. What is bitmap filter? Sorry. Brief detour. Is this the dithering thing? No, because that's bitmap tools, I thought. Bitmap filter. Involve. I don't know what that means. Ask. It's from OpenMV. Calls this morphology, okay. Gael calls it kernel. Okay. What does it do, though? For background on how this works. Okay. I mean, they're straight up just filters, it looks like. It's like matrix math to do image filters. Interesting. I did not even know this existed, I don't think. Okay, in any case. So yeah, there's a list of built-in modules here, and lots of them are false, like you can see. Lots of them are false, but there are lots of display I/O ones which are true. So anyone who has checked out the stream before with any regularity may know that like display I/O is one of my main sort of interests in CircuitPython. So I figured I would take a stab at trying that out. Yeah, it seems like almost everything related to display I/O, even like the hardware layer and the actual graphics and stuff, also display I/O itself, right? Yeah. Because I think if I am recalling Scott's like kind of notes in the meetings and stuff correctly, I think he did set up display I/O in the Zephyr port on top of LVGL, and it can, like the simulator can output pictures or something to the tests, I believe. SD card. I don't have an SD card hooked up. There's another display thing though. Storage is there. Terminal I/O you would need probably for display, tile palette mapper, and then vector I/O. Okay. Yeah, lots of CircuitPython stuff not implemented yet, but display I/O stuff looks like it is. So I figured that'd be a decent place to take a first try because I'm relatively familiar with it as well. We might be able to troubleshoot some stuff if it's not working. You know, we'll see. Since I haven't messed with the Zephyr thing at all just yet, so we'll see how well the troubleshooting goes if we get to there. I do think we want to implement byte array using Zephyr flash area. So I'm pretty sure this is relevant to this feather, so I think I'm inclined to build from this PR instead of main, which is what I have actually in my IDE right now. Another thing I should do before I even mess with that, though, is we're going to be flashing like a super experimental thing. We should take a backup of this if we care about it, which it looks like there's actually not that much on there, so... Well, I think I had to wipe this actually last time I updated it because of the partition layout change or whatever. NRF devices, I think somewhere in 9 to 10 or 8 to 9 or 9 something to 9 something. I don't remember exactly where. Somewhere though, I think there was a change where like the UF2 update didn't just work by itself. You had to do a separate flash this thing and then do the UF2 after. I think that nuked the storage when that happened. I think I have a backup somewhere, but this is just Bluetooth stuff. Mostly empty. Give another one just for fun. Okay. And then I'm not actually sure how to flash this, although like I said, I do want to build from that other branch, so let's do that. This is what PR? 10 918. Okay, so for NVM, and then can try make a new build. Not sure if we need clean for that. So we'll find out. I'm also not 100% sure how to flash just yet. I think Scott said you flash it with West. Assuming it's fairly easy. How to flash Zephyr build West. West flash. From a Zephyr build directory. Rebuild the binary and flash it to your board. I'm not sure which directory is the Zephyr build directory. So the directory where I ran the command for the CircuitPython build is more or less the same as the other ports. So it's inside of ports and then whichever port you want, in this case Zephyr CP. That's the CircuitPython build. I'm not sure if that's the same as this or not. I'm not sure we need to rebuild as well, because I'm doing the build now. Ideally, I would like to just flash it. Without options, the behavior is the same as Ninja Flash or Make Flash. Specify the build directory, use that. If you don't specify it, then it searches for one in build, and then the current working directory. So probably, I guess, build would be build. In our case, maybe... Oh, this one failed. Error 1. So for premap, I wonder if we need a clean undefined reference to math module. Build. All right, let's try clean. I did get a successful build on main, so if nothing else, we could go back to main. I mean, the universe has just not like changed, and it will let me build it again, but... Another thing I'm not sure about how to do with this is as I understand it, the pins are static compared to CircuitPython, where the pins are a little bit more dynamic. Like you can kind of set a certain pin at runtime to do a certain thing. As I understand it, by default in Zephyr, that is not the case. I think ultimately Scott's trying to plan for some way to work around it, but I don't think right now it's in place. Which for me right now, I think the consequences of that are, on this feather wing, we're gonna have to make sure that the right pins are set up to talk to this display. I think this is a I2C display, so hopefully the I2C pins, imagine they would be set to the ones that are on the silk screen, at the very least, which should get us there, I would think. Okay, yeah, we got a successful build. Okay, so I needed to do a clean, I think. And so this, just like in the other ports, it creates this folder, which is build. I wonder... So is it going to have to build more on top of that stuff? Just flash. Searches there instead of build. Using a runner. The other thing is, I don't know... like right now, my board is just connected under normal CircuitPy. I would presume that it needs to be connected in a different way. A link. Well, let's see what happens if we just do this. I don't expect that will get us there. So builder not given, neither the directory we're in nor build are build directories. So then presumably the build directory would be that one might think. It is rebuilding. Okay. No matching UF2 partitions. Okay, I mean, that could just be that the drive is not connected. Let's make a new build. Not buying any viewers. Please go away. Okay, so this board I think is double click, probably? Let's reset. This one's reset. That would get us to UF2. So I thought he said UF2 wasn't working, but maybe that means copy pasting the file as opposed to West flashing the file. Oh, interesting. The camera shutter speed is making this appear like it's blinking at a different rate. It's actually way faster to the naked eye. Rebuilding. It's too bad. It seems like this is always building. I wonder if there's a thing you can do to make it just flash the last one that was built. Okay. It seems like just copying the file. Could I not just copy the file myself, I wonder? Okay. I mean, it printed a bunch of stuff here like it failed, but honestly, this device does that even when you paste a UF2, I think. It did not reconnect CircuitPy. I don't know if CircuitPy works. Maybe CircuitPy doesn't work. I don't know how we would get code on it without that, though. Let's see if there's... Not currently connect. Or just reset once. Got like one red light and then nothing. Okay, maybe we should look at this error. I think this error, honestly, though, is just... So the thing is, like, when it's in UF2 mode, when a file gets copied to it, it automatically reboots at the end. Like, it kind of, like, sees that file incoming, and whenever that file's done being written, I don't know how it triggers exactly, but somehow it knows when the file's done, it reboots. And sometimes the computer tries to, like, still do something else or look at something else after it reboots. Or, like, after it starts rebooting, and so then it's, like, gone. And so then the computer will be like, hey, copying that file failed because the thing just disappeared, but the thing disappeared because copying the file succeeded. And the computer just doesn't know that it's going to do that. So sometimes that happens, which is kind of what it seemed like happened here. But at the same time, we do have no real indication that it's alive in any way. It's the same list. I just unplugged it and replugged it. And then the only real action we have here is the charge light, which always blinks anyway. I think that's hardware blink anyway. It's not, I think it's not the firmware at all. Let's see if we can, so we can definitely get back to UF2 mode. Although I didn't hear it reconnect. Oh, but it did, okay. Doesn't matter if I heard it or not, it did. Current index info. This is info about the bootloader itself. Yeah, so somewhere this had to get updated. That's how it got wiped last time, I think. Such file or directory. I would think, I mean, that must be like, SHUtil. Yeah, let's just copy the file though. So can I just copy the file myself? What happens if I do that? So that, because this is building, well, it's inside a build. This is building, I don't know where it put it though. Presumably the build command made a UF2 file? What did that, let's, I swear at the end of this it says that it's writing a UF2 file, I thought. We can also try main still as well. BRB. So it says that it wrote to Zephyr.uf2. And that it built the elf file, which is in Zephyr CP, Zephyr elf. Oh, the UF2 is probably next to the elf file. So there's a UF2 right there. So could we just try copying that? The weird thing about this though is I would have sworn that Scott said he was working on that still, the UF2 installation. We basically ended up, we have basically the same thing, which is it. So, well it's tight. Actually, I guess it's a little bit different because this actually succeeded without any error about the thing disappearing. But I mean, the thing did disappear still. It's gone from here. But it never did actually come back as CircuitPy. And it's not connected as serial either. Okay. Let's try main. which already does have this device in it as well, because I think this was actually merged the other day, and it just presumably, the difference is it doesn't have NVM yet. Okay, go back to UF2. I'm trying to remember though, there is another sort of like level of bootloader on this one. Does it do something different if you hold this and press this? No, not really. That's interesting. Okay, so that kind of works like a boot button. You can hold that other button and press that, and it still gets you to UF2 bootloader. Let's go back to using this. It's going to rebuild anyway, but builder. Yeah, that's like the same output. It's solely just doing the build again. I do think it's copying now because this one's blinking at a different rate. Before it was kind of just like fade up, fade down, and then it turned to a blink. And then presumably it reboots. We do get this error when we do it this way. And I do still not have a drive or any serial connection. I mean, obviously I have lots of serial connections, but I think none of these are it. Usually it's showing up as ACM 0 or 1. Could unplug it. Unplugged it right now. Plug it back in and see if the list is different at all. Eight, 53, S1, 25, 29. Yeah, those are all the exact same columns. Okay. I don't know. Feels like a no-go to me. Feels like it's not completing the boot all the way. And I don't know on this one, so NR52840, I don't know how to do not sure if it's possible to do any deeper level of debugging. Like, if we made a debug build, could we get the crash dump from the core? I don't know how to do that on NRF. But I assume that the core is not making it all the way. Or the only other thing I could think is the USB storage might not work. Maybe we wouldn't expect it to connect to CircuitPy, but I have to think we would expect it to connect still as serial, at the very least. Yeah, I think so. I feel like it should definitely be at least serial. One other thing we could try still, though, is I saw this one has picos. We could maybe try a pico build. I don't have a display that would be as easy to connect. I mean, I guess this is I2C display. We could try to make it work. We're def for pico Zephyr, pico W, pico 2, pico 2. All right, let's try one of these. Start basic. We'll do a pico lane. I'll have to run and grab one. So that would be build. No, this is all wrong. Make board. What is it? Well, it's not under Adafruit. Probably it's under what? Raspberry Pi or Raspberry Pi RPI Pico Zephyr. Raspberry Pi RPI Pico Zephyr. Sure. I think probably I got the board wrong. Yeah, no board. Did you mean, but then it didn't list anything? Oh, well, I have to check out the right. Yeah, obviously, because that's in a PR still. 10.9.17. There we go. Now we could try this. Okay, I think it's getting farther. While that's running, I'm going to go and grab a Pico real fast. It took a minute, sorry. Turns out I have a lot of Pico W's and Pico 2 W's, Pico 2's, not a lot of Pico regulars. But I did manage to fish one up. Set a camera thing connected to it. I assume that's what the code is? Nope, not actually. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And so here I assume we want bootloader mode, so we can hold boot and then plug it in, which I can do off screen because I have buttons. The RP2. And I'll do the same. I'm not positive if I need to actually do West Flash or if I could copy the UF2. I'm not sure which. Sure if just copying would be expected to work or not. It feels like West Flash is effectively just doing another build. So we're ending up like building it and then building it again and then flashing it. Positive if that's actually happening, but that's what it seems like is happening. Fatal error. Unable to find a matching CMIS DAP device, and it's still just sitting in. This is trying to flash a hex file. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. Well, I mean, not through the USB cable, probably. Maybe with the debug pins somehow? I don't know how to do that. I don't think that's true. I really don't think that's true. AVR a hex, obviously that's true, but we're talking about, I mean, presumably this built a hex that is for a Pico. Weird that it would be a hex file, though. I don't know. Yeah. Did it generate a UF2? did. I mean, surely it's not going to work if I just copy that. I have no idea how to do a hex flash, though. So I was trying to do OpenOCD. So I assume that that's going to be having to go through the debug port, not the USB port. Which this Pico does not have wired up. It still could be a false assumption too, though. I don't actually know. We can certainly try just copying the UF2 though. Send it and see what happens. We are just sitting on bootloader there. No lights this time. Actually, came back. CircuitPy. Okay. It did wipe the storage. That's fine. Not want to open this. There we go. That's interesting. Totally. Yeah, Zephyr. Nice. Okay. So then I think the NRF one maybe is not working, but this Pico one seems like it is for now. Hello world, nice. Got the REPL. What do we have for pins? Okay. Okay. Pico I2C, this is interesting. I'm not used to seeing those listed quite like that. I don't know how we would know which pins those are on. We'd have to figure that out somehow. But we are here. Import display IO. Import I2C display. I2C bus display? The I2C bus display? That file again with all that stuff listed. Oh, this got edited. Interesting. Did it get edited? Or is it from the PR? Speed? Schaub RP2040 uses mask ROM. Bootloader chip select is interrupted by PB switch. Uses XP off flash space. And flash a RAM only program. Or maybe can't remember the base address. Yeah, I'll be honest, a lot of that's a bit over my head, but it does make sense. I mean, if the flash, if it went to a different location. Audio speed. This must be from the PR. I don't know what's going on with this. This is like a brand new thing, I'm pretty sure. I think this was something Toddbot's just recently working on. I'm guessing my Git is just in a weird state, which is why that's edited. UF2 is the only way I know to update, but SWD may be possible. Okay. So UF2, it sounds like, is what we want. Hey, thanks for the tips, by the way. It sounds like you know a bit more about this than I do, so I appreciate the steering. I2C, it is okay. I2C display bus. I had that wrong. Okay, that works. Okay, so can we get to a display? Can we jankily connect this Pico to a display? Where there's a will, there's a way. As long as we have enough wires and we don't care whether or not they are connected in a manner could be described as pretty. We might need more things overall, though. Still, like, I would want a double air for this, probably. Other than that, what would we need to do? So this is a lead featherwing. This one. I'm almost positive it's I2C. I kind of wish these were broken up a little bit more. This makes it confusing if you have one display specifically. Did I say 9,000? My goodness, that file's so big. Okay. Really what I want to know is, like, what is this? So OLED. I would. OLED reset. Okay, so I think OLED reset is connected to pin 9. But pin 9 is also connected to a button. Seems like. I don't really care about the buttons. But we would probably need to connect the reset pin. It's like difficult to come by a scale that's reasonable. OLED reset. GPIO 25 is the LED. I think we don't. I'm not sure we have digital I/O. I don't think we can blink to LED just yet in the Zephyr port. Although I'm not positive. Okay. It's unclear to me if that's. Okay, so this example code does not mess with the reset pin at all. So I'm just gonna not mess with the reset pin also, and hope that it works. Now, one thing we need to figure out for sure though, this is saying board.i2c, board.stem.i2c. We could just take this code, I guess. Let's take this. we're gonna need to figure out what those are, right? Because on the feather, those are like just hard coded to the pins that are labeled on the silk screen, but this like the Pico, there's like a dozen different pairs of pins that could be I2C. We have to figure out which one they are. I'm not sure where that's defined exactly. QtPy P2040 might have a NeoPixel. I don't think we can do NeoPixel either. Let's check Neo. Actually, that would be Pixel. No, that's wrong. A different pixel buff. I think this would have to be enabled. Well, there's a Python implementation. Yeah, in any case, I'm not sure NeoPixels are hooked up yet either. The Zephyr port is still very limited. I think display is one of the relatively few things that is turned on. Just kind of looking through the ones here that are true. Like almost all of them are related to display stuff. Rainbow IO, there's a NeoPixel thing though. I mean, by itself, it's just math though. It doesn't actually interface with the hardware. Rotary IO. We get out a rotary encoder. Use serial print SDA. Print the SDA pin. Will it tell us anything if we print it? I think it will just tell us function. Is that what we call it? An I2C object. I don't know if it tells us the pins though. I think we need to look somewhere in the core code. This is all true, false. Okay, maybe there is a Raspberry Pi Pico Zephyr pinout. Maybe this just exists and it's using the same one currently. Pin mapping. Here we go. Okay, that seems promising. Okay, so if we want to use I2C 0, looks like we can hook up to pins 4 and 5. If CircuitPython took the same pin out as Zephyr, which I think is likely. Okay. So let's figure out what I'm gonna get. We want the Pico doubler, and then we're gonna run wires from that to the feather doubler. So I need the wires. The wires are right there. I can get them. I need the Pico doubler is all. All right, I'll be right back. Have a use CircuitPython source on GitHub to find the mapping. I gotcha. Nice. Okay. BRB. Okay. Get some space here. With this, I don't actually know which way this goes, so doesn't quite want to focus on that. Big enough for my eyes to see, so sorry, I'm gonna have to kind of do this off screen for a second. All right, 3v3 enabled. Okay, so this goes this way. So the USB goes over the battery. Is it a battery? Is there a charging circuit on it? I think this has a charging circuit on it. I didn't actually know that. I think this is for JST for a battery there. Not positive though. Don't go plugging a battery into that before you confirm it if you're watching this. Okay, I think this should be correct. Just double check one thing here. So that should be, yeah, 2 and 3 are on that side. Okay, so okay, Pico's plugged into that. And then we wanted, what was it? 5 and 6? 4 and 5? 4 and 5. Yellow and blue are pretty typical for this. Although I don't know which one's which. SDA is 4, so that's data, and that's usually blue. And then SCL is 5, and that's clock, which is usually yellow. Okay, and then to feather form factor, those are on the end of the long row? No, the end of the short row. And they go SCL, then SDA. So that is, well, SDA is on the end here, and SC, oop, that didn't go in. Did it came back out? Okay, those are connected there. Oh, that's not plugged in anymore. Let me look at this code again real fast. Right code? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so I2C we have sorted, hopefully. Display bus, that's the only other pins. Okay, it's connected. Whoop. Zoom out slightly here. Oh, it didn't save. I didn't save it probably, I'm assuming. And then I guess it should be I2C, I think. Probably this will not be installed, so let's do that. I think I want TO in here. Let's save that. Well, I guess it didn't. I was gonna say it didn't auto run because it's waiting at the REPL, but it actually did auto run. But we are missing this library as well. Runtime error. Didn't see if it did anything on the screen. I'm guessing maybe not. Actually, you know what I want is actually do want TO in this terminal. Kind of gotten used to this whole serial (21) runtime error, which is when it created the display bus. Okay. We could try. Ooh. Oh, okay, it's just solo slow. Okay, so 4 and 5 are here. We could try this maybe? Or explicitly I2C 0? It is odd that there's an I2C and an I2C0, but not an I2C1. That is kind of odd. Would we want I2C0? Still a runtime error. And I'm gonna guess this may not make a difference either. Runtime error. And 5. Maybe it wasn't connected all the way. I think it probably was. Okay, this is a little the same thing where it was before, where it kind of like took a minute to recognize my control C's, but they do eventually show up. All right, let's try like probe or something. Can we do? What all did this have? This had stuff, right? Has probe and scan. I don't know what they do. Positional arguments. Function requires lock. Let's try to find I2C scan code. I gotta run to the restroom as well, so I'll be back in a second. Alright, BRB. Whoop. Okay. Did this run? Ooh, where did it get this? Oh, did it just hardcode that? Yeah, we don't want to do that. That's not helpful. Skipped. Okay, it was on its way to doing stuff, and I stopped it. I think we don't need to do either of those. Now it's a string and not a tuple. Pin mapping. Oh, this. Discord. Nice. Okay, this looks like the source maybe for the page we found a minute ago. Okay, sweet. Okay. 1.5. Thanks for the link. Really appreciate it. Okay, so we're able to scan and we're getting no addresses. Oh, I am being super silly right now. We would absolutely need power to the display, right? The display is obviously not going to work without power. I think we would, what would we do here? So we would, I mean, it's basically we need to know the voltage, we need to know the right power pins to connect. I assume that this is 3 volts. This schematic is so huge. Yeah. All right, we need to get 3 volts connected to the pin where the feather would be giving 3 volts, and we also need a ground connection. Also fairly obvious in hindsight. Let's get some more wires. We're gonna do green for ground, because I don't have any black wires at the top of the thing here. We are gonna do... guess we'll do red. Red's kind of a short wire, but we can make it work. Did I not notice a shared ground to reference? Did not notice the shared ground to reference for ITC. Saw that there was no power much earlier, just 2 wires, but figured it was on a bus. Can't see. Gotcha. Nope. Yeah, just me spacing. All right, so let's go. Ground is actually right below these 2. Let me unplug this while we are doing power and stuff here. Oh, it shouldn't be a problem, but I'd rather not find out that it is. Okay, ground. These labeled? They're not. They're not labeled. They're labeled on the feather. I think I would know the feather grounds. I think reset, 3 volts, a ref, and then ground. So ground is 4 down on the long side. From here, reset, 3 volts, a ref, ground. And then power, we would want 3 volts. It's the second one. We're going to come to 3 volts here, which is up on this side. Ground, the 3rd down though. And enable, and then 3 volts. 3 volts goes here. Okay. Theoretically, now there's power to the display breakout. I don't know if there's any lights or anything on it to tell us if that happened or not, but we are seeing the I2C address now, so actually we can be pretty sure that it did work. Which gives me hope, actually, that if we now switch back... Get rid of these for now. Oh, nice. Okay. We have the display. And is that the full? So this is a tiny display. I know that. Oh, and we saw the terminal there as well. We could get back to it. Yeah, so terminal is where, I mean, obviously there's not enough room on this display to see much, but oh, actually I don't know if the scrolling worked correctly. Seems like maybe the scrolling didn't work. But in any case, the terminal is like rendering something. It's not just completely broken. I can read Hello World on the YouTube feed. Nice. Cool. Okay. So probably for the feather sense, it seemed like we got a build and I was able to copy it, but it didn't boot up. For the Pico, we got it to build and copy just fine, and it booted. And we got the display going. Could I try this one? What is this one? So this is a 160 by 80 color mini TFT. I don't know if that's a SPI display. I don't have a specific like aim necessarily here, other than just tinker and play around and see what works and what doesn't. So, mini TFT featherwing, mini TFT featherwing, 2 eyes, featherwing, mini TFTs. Is it an OLED? What if we said TFT? This one. Mini color TFT. Is this a SPI display or an I2C display? Dope. This code uses this higher level library, which means we do not get to know the answer to that question. Should do a bundle nowadays. I think this is not going to tell us still though, because the thing is that the way this example is written, it's using this featherwing library. Which means it's inside there, the actual initialization of the display. Mini TFT featherwing. Four wire. Okay, I think it's gonna be SPI display. Yeah, SPI, definitely. Okay. There's explicit mention of SWD and Zephyr RP2040 subtree on GitHub. I saw it when looking for the pin mapping, OpenOCD. Yeah, the build was saying something about that too. Yeah, right here. So when I did, what did I do last? I did, so when I did West Flash, it made a build and it seemed like it started trying to flash that build, and it was trying to flash a hex file. And it seems like it is trying to use OpenOCD here to do that flash. Yeah, I do think that may be a thing that it can do at the very least, but if the UF2 works, then the UF2 is way easier in my mind, so stock maybe for the wrong board. Discord. My Discord grumble continues that they have wrecked the basic functionality of right-clicking a link. Just a vectored interrupt controller. I don't even know what that is. So this is in... Oh, interesting. Okay. This is in like an Adafruit port, or an Adafruit fork. It is old though. I wonder if this is used for CircuitPython still? Doesn't have any commits. I'm not sure this one's used. I'd have to ask Scott, though, a little bit more how the actual Zephyr build, what all it relies on currently. If this is true, then possibly the UF2 would not have been expected to work. Flash the image. See, this is weird to me, because... Oh, to listen for output. I don't know what this is. This is like a TOML file or something. I don't know where you would... It says build this. I don't know where you would be putting this stuff exactly. But I mean, as you can probably tell, I don't know much. I don't know basically anything about Zephyr. Flushing Zephyr onto that one requires the programmer. Yeah. I wonder... Really missed this as an old repo. I mean, it still may be relevant. I would not be surprised if it's still relevant, potentially. Even if it's not actively linked into the build, it may still be correct as far as what it's saying. Somewhere here we ended up with Zephyr, I think. Is that the same repo? Let's look. So I was here... Ended up with this Zephyr. Where was that? That was... Boards, Adafruit. Feather. NRF. Alright, so this is the one that is in the CircuitPython repo today that I built from. Okay. Okay. UF2 is supposed to work in the latest one. It looks like it has been updated to where UF2 is supposed to work. So Scott must have finished that UF2 work. I thought he was still... I could have swore I thought he said he was still going on that, but... Oh, tree CircuitPython? Is that the submodule maybe that's linked? Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, 3 days ago. This is definitely must be the one he's working on. Okay, so that must be what's linked as a submodule to here. And it does look like UF2 is supposed to work. So it says you can do the SWD, But what it says here, only the Express board has the SWD, so that does apply to me. I have the Sense board, which the SWD port would be in the middle there, and this one has a bunch of sensors instead. So that does solve that mystery, but it looks like it should work for the UF2, so we may have an issue to report there, I think. Then flash the image. Yeah. But it does still have all of these. Still not quite grasping these things. But this would be Zephyr. You should see the red LED blink. Zephyr app commands. I'll have to read into how these things are used. Okay. Let's do something fun with this one, and then I think I'll probably wrap it up for the day. And I think I'll try Spy next time. That'll be the next thing I try, is a Spy display with this. It's going to require a bunch more wires and a bunch bigger rat's nest of wiring to connect Spy, because it's more connections. And I'm not sure if I want to keep doing this Pico to Feather thing. Maybe what we could do is ask... Well, I'll report the Feather Sense thing, but maybe the other thing we could do is, if there's a build for Pico, RP2040 Pico, it should be, I would imagine, relatively easy to make a build for the RP2040 Feather. Make sure there's not one. Is there one? There is here, actually. Is there in CircuitPython? Not yet. But possibly we could add it. I don't know what all it needs. I could look at one of Scott's PRs, I guess. I think those are the next two steps, though, is I can... Sorry about that, Johnny, just when you arrive. Yeah, I can report the Feather Sense thing. We're able to build but not flash, or it depends how you look on it. I guess maybe we flashed and it didn't boot. I don't know for sure where we failed, somewhere in between there. Pico's working, I2C display is working. Feather RP2040 would make it easy for me, at least, to test lots of different displays, because I got lots of different feather wings. And then I would not have to be doing a mess of wires if I had the Feather RP2040 build. So maybe I'll try to figure out how to make the RP2040 Feather build. I don't suspect it would be that hard, realistically. I don't think I'll do this now on the stream, but the next time I sit down and mess with this, I'll take a look now, though. Let's see what we can find if we just take a look at one of Scott's. So this one added it for the Picos. So the changes were... So for each board, there's basically one of these folders, which has these two files in it. That is not at all the file I clicked on. Interesting. Okay, there we go. Basically has those two files. One of them's got all those modules on and off. One of them's got this. And I would have thought it would have the USB thing. We saw the USB thing in the other one. PID UID or whatever. PID VID. And then there's overlays. One thing that's a little weird here is... There's an overlay. So like, let's look at just Pico RP2040 for now. Let's not worry about Pico 2. So for this one, there's an overlay with no W. There's a conf for with W, and there's a overlay for with W. But there's no conf for no W. Which feels odd. Board alias. So some of this I don't think is related to the boards, right? Oh, there's pins. Of course, those are just a list of pins. I don't see anything for I2C there either. Food app overlay. So I wonder why conf. Okay, well, this is all network stuff. Mostly. This is mostly network stuff. Like network. Embed TLS is also network. Random number generator, not really, but kind of. It's used by the network, so I get it. So maybe that's why there's no conf file for the Pico non-W. Maybe you don't need it if you are not doing network stuff. It is a hypothesis. Let's look at the comments in this as well. Per board conf and overlay. Overlay is easy. You can include other files. Conf is trickier. We need CMake code. Yeah, they don't necessarily say too much specifically about that all the way. So like the main changes are the folder here with the 2 files in it, the overlay file here, and then being listed here in board aliases. I wonder if these board aliases, you know what these might do is these might map. Which file is this? This is in boards, board aliases, CMake. These might map to the Zephyr equivalent boards, right? Because we have boards at the CircuitPython level, and then we also have, there's boards in the Zephyr level. Yeah. So I think these might just be aliases down into the Zephyr here, the Zephyr repo, and then boards, and then you not want to actually drag. And then this. So when you do the CircuitPython build and you target this board, my hypothesis is that is linking you up with boards Adafruit folder here, and then feather NRF 52840 here. And I don't know what the last part of this would be, but I assume that that's pointing to something inside of this. So if we were trying to add a feather one, yeah, I kind of wanted to give it a try. I was gonna... We want to do it... I think we just leave it in this branch, actually, for now, since this one has the one I'm gonna mostly copy from. Okay, so if we went here, and we also went here, and we grabbed Pico Zephyr, we paste it to here, and we call it Feather RP 2040 Zephyr. And it gets those two files. The name we will change. Oh, do not edit it. Do not commit it. I don't think that's true. These files are committed to Git. Aren't they? Pretty sure these are committed. This might be from a Zephyr point of view. You're not supposed to commit them, but CircuitPython maybe you are. I don't know. I'm pretty sure those are committed. In any case, I'm not going to be committing this one way or another, so... If it does work, then I'll eventually PR it, but I'll PR it against main anyway, so it's a different thing. But yeah, these are definitely checked in. Okay, so just has a comment, I think, that doesn't apply. Different Industries Feather, LC Feather RP 2040. And then I'm just going to leave all the same stuff as the Pico RP 2040. I think that seems reasonable. And then this, I'm just going to leave the same. I don't know. We could find those. We could try to, I guess, but I'm going to skip it for now since it seems like the other one builds without it. And then, so the other one would be we took this Pico overlay and we make this, well, it would need to be Adafruit, so we need to go, actually it's weird that this one doesn't have Raspberry Pi in front of it, kind of. I don't know about that. Feather RP 2040. Yeah, we basically just hope that all of that applies the same. That is all over my head. I mean, I would assume layouts and stuff or whatever, this looks mostly the same to me. I would assume that they're the same on the Feather versus the Pico, but I don't really have a way to check. So then board alias, we would say Adafruit Feather RP 2040 Zephyr goes to inside Zephyr Adafruit Feather RP 2040. Ooh, now here we get weird. Is it going to just be RP 2040? I don't know if that's going to be right. Let's try. Did not immediately crash. It's probably a good sign. I have a feather RP2040 right here. BRB, I'm gonna grab a feather. A feather. Like it crashed right when I clicked away from it. Yeah. Okay. And then yeah, I'm basically pretty much out of my depth in trying to troubleshoot why it didn't build, so. It did a bunch of stuff, just not enough to complete. Unsupported driver. Oh, okay, that's PO thing. That's fine. Whatever. We don't care about that, I don't think. Spy. LED strip. WRT NRF sense mentioned explicitly. Did you not check the date relevance? Date. And Zephyr boards. Okay, that's where the NRF and then the UF2. Okay, we can check that. Yeah, thank you, by the way. I would have... Yeah, so like seriously, this is day one for me with Zephyr, so I know basically nothing about it. So you're definitely getting me a lot farther than I would have otherwise. Yes, this was in board.yaml. Your feather vendor, but it just has socks name. So this one doesn't have variants. Interesting. Oh, wow. What did the Pico one map to? Raspberry Pi Pico says RPi Pico RP2040. Strangely, there's no RP2040 listed in here. Since YAML. Oh, there is a sense. There's a separate board definition in Zephyr for the sense feather specifically. Interesting. So I almost think we probably don't want this. We probably don't want this UF2, right? Because RP2040 here doesn't have that. Try one more time. I am probably going to wrap it up here. 8 months old. It's probably when, it might be when Scott worked on it the first time. Maybe somebody else added it, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we don't want the UF2 there, right? Because the Picos, all of these, none of these have it. I can see on the Sense one where it listed out UF2 as one of those things in the list there. Like this. But the Pico doesn't, so we'll have better luck with that. Fingers crossed. Yeah, thanks again, by the way, for all the help in the Discord here, Nis. I really appreciate it. Nope, still failed with basically same-ish. Not sure if it's the exact same error. I think so. I think so. And it looks like map. Got a bunch of undefined references, basically. RO data pin P. It could be that well, but this should be defining the pins though. 2040. Well, here's some pin definitions for I2C and stuff. Control.h. Okay, there's a pin mapping. So I think that it's failing during this step. Possibly. Because all these here are like, all these undefined things are like pin P 29, 28, 27, 26. I don't know why they're out of order, but those are all the first pins in this list. Let's take one more look at the changes from these ones that were added. I'll also try to go back and find the feather one, maybe. Let's just added those. Yes, I don't know. then it just gets into Wi-Fi stuff. I mean, this, yeah, the only things that seem specific to the boards are the folder, the 2 files in it, and then the updated reference to here, and then the overlay file. And then if it's a networked one, the W's, they have actually a conf and an overlay. But the non-networked ones don't have a conf. That does look like everything that I can see. I wonder if we find... Let's try to find where the feather... where the other feather was added. We could go backwards from here. Let's see. Oh, but this has both. Because it has Bluetooth stuff. Okay. So it's not just Wi-Fi. It's not just network. Bluetooth also needs a comp file. $226. Accidentally clicked. Seems like... yeah, that was not added by itself either. I wonder... do I need to specify something for sense? Spitballing the entire time, and you're welcome. Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, I am gonna actually wrap it up here in a minute, like I keep saying. Although one more thing that I'm now a little bit interested in is we saw back in the Zephyr thing for here that there's this kind of stuff. I wonder, and because the feather that I have never booted, I wonder if I need to somehow specify the sense, but I don't know how one would do that other than change it here, I guess, but I don't think that's likely to work. Okay. I'll give it a try. I'll flash it if it builds, but then I'll wrap it up after that, or I'll start wrapping it up now. I'll turn the stream off after that. So any last minute questions, comments, concerns, other thoughts you would like to share, now's the time. I will be back on Tuesday over on the Adafruit channel for deep dive on Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. As far as I know, Scott is going to be around for deep dive next week, and so I'm not filling in, and we'll be back here on Saturday. It was fun. Miracle of Telecommunications. 73, nice to see you. Yep, take it easy, my friend. Thanks again. Hope you have a nice rest of your day and weekend and all that stuff. Okay, so we changed that to Sense and actually did get a build. Plug back in this Feather Sense. It's way over here now. Boot. Loader. Necessarily want to set it on that thing just in case we're randomly jumping pins, but... This went where? It was in... For UF2. It's the, I don't actually know what it's called. There it is, okay. Ooh, I don't know if we would want to be well, I guess it doesn't matter. Copying the file. Possibly we would want to kill TO, I don't know. Oh, interesting. Definitely different this time. So this thinks it finished, and my PC thinks it disconnected. Because I got the little doodaloo from the drive disappearing, but the microcontroller itself is still sort of stuck in bootloader-ish type mode, so I don't think that worked. Let me try and unplug, replug real fast. No. Yeah, okay. We've wrecked that one a bit farther, I think, because now this is always red, which is interesting. Ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get back to bootloader either. Uh-oh. Oh. Yeah, okay. In any case, it did not work, so it was worth a shot. But that was not the ticket. So I'll have to talk to Scott, figure out if I did the correct thing for the Feather Sense or not, and if not, how it's supposed to work so that I could test that. But we did get the Pico working with the display, which is super cool. If we can get the Feather RP2040 next, then it'll be a lot easier to hook up a bunch more displays, I think, to test those out. So very cool stuff. Stay tuned to Deep Dive with Scott, mostly if you want the latest and greatest Zephyr stuff. That's on Fridays, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And I think that's it. So long, farewell. Like I said, I'll be back next week at the same-ish time, hopefully on time, around 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays here on my channel. Until then, I will bid you farewell. Thanks for watching.